So I was at the gym not that long ago, and I was on the cardio equipment. I overlooked an interaction between a man and a woman who I would assume are in a relationship or married. They were probably in their late 20s, younger couple. And the dude was asking the girl who was on the treadmill how much longer she had, when she's going to be out of the gym. And she just dismissively kind of shoot him away like a fly, rolled her eyes at him, made a rude kind of facial expression, shutting him down, and he just walked away with his head down. He walked away and head down, shoulders shrugged forward. And then when she finally was done and ready to leave, he was sitting there like waiting on the bench, waiting for her. I saw them walking out of the gym, and the girl was in front of him, chest pumped, chin up, and he was walking behind her like 10 feet away with his head down and his shoulders down. And I got to thinking this, not only are men losing their focus on their mission and purpose when getting in relationships, but men are losing their masculinity. I see a lot of men who are losing focus on what it means to be a man. They're playing these kind of toxic games. And it's so bad to the point where I even remember there were some friends of mine when I was younger, out of high school, who were literally saying that their goal in life was to be a stay-at-home father, was to have the woman be the provider, was to be the submissive one in the relationship. They were saying that's totally normal, like that's acceptable. No understanding of male leadership, no understanding of masculine frame, no understanding of relationship dynamics, no understanding of how to be a man. And it's like, why would you want to be in a relationship versus, which again, this thing people seem to misunderstand. Being single and being alone is not the same as being lonely. Those are two completely different things. But my point being is, why would you want to be in a relationship and play these kind of court jester games, make a fool of yourself, versus being single and not being desperate, perhaps waiting to see if you can get lucky enough to find a good woman? And I remember I used to see all these videos come out the woodwork like 5 to 10 years ago. I used to see all these videos of men, talking about, I'm 30 years old and I've never had a girlfriend. They were like ashamed of it, 25-year-old virgin, whatever, never kissed a girl, whatever kind of stuff you want to see. And guys, if you notice lately, you don't see those videos coming out of the woodwork as much as you used to, because I think people are starting to realize just how toxic the dating market really is. They're starting to realize they're not missing out. The grass is not greener. And again, talking about the whole loneliness thing, people seem to not understand. They think getting in a relationship is going to fix their problems. If you're in a relationship with a toxic woman, they are going to isolate you from your friends, from your good friends, and from your family. People that you should have in your life. And once that relationship ends, which eventually it will end, and it'll probably end in an ugly way the longer it goes on, then they'll realize what real loneliness is. Then they'll realize that they didn't have any self-respect. They'll develop a disdain towards people. People seem to not understand that. Being alone, being single, and being lonely are not the same thing. And to people saying, because I see this a lot too, is people talking about how women just want chads, women just want these top tier, top echelon guys, whatever it might be. Understand something. It's not just the average men who feel this way or are dealing with this kind of stuff in the dating market. I had a friend of mine, and I've had friends of mine put up with this kind of stuff, but I had a friend of mine in particular who was 6'4", went to the gym, and was on his way to finish law school. So again, top tier guy, and he was 23 years old at the time. And he was dating this girl who just disrespected him, disrespected the relationship. I mean, you think, this is a guy who's 6'4", this is a guy who's getting everything figured out, going to be able to support a family, going to be financially independent, and she thought she could do better. I mean, you even see it, even many celebrities I've seen. Tom Brady's wife, you see plenty of celebrities that have the looks, have the status, have the money, and they're still dealing with these kind of toxic relationships in the dating market. This whole grass is greener mentality. And I've even seen guys, women get with guys, it's not even just guys that are better in terms of the looks, whatever you want to call it. And again, that's why I don't agree with a lot of this kind of Chad stuff that's pushed. Because I've seen women get with guys that are lesser in the looks department, lesser in the morality department, financial department, whatever you want to call it, just because it's convenient at the time, just because it serves them a purpose. So again, guys, it's bad enough a lot of men lose focus on their mission and purpose with relationships. What's even worse is men losing their masculinity. And I don't think it's that men lose it in the relationship. I think these are men that probably didn't even have much of an understanding of masculinity to begin with. Because I've seen this too, where a lot of women wanting to get with men that they can control, wanting to get with men that are easy to kind of manipulate, not men that have self-respect. And again, I've even had women that agree with me on this, that are against this kind of stuff. And they've literally said straight up, like, women that are like this in a relationship, they're going to end up, number one, miserable down the line. They're going to end up lonely down the line, most likely. They're going to be bitter. Because I've seen that time and time again. Like, even growing up, I had friends of mine who grew up in single-parent households with a mother. And a lot of those women raising their sons to dislike their fathers, to really just hate masculinity in general. Again, that's why you see that kind of behavior. Combine that with the schools of a lot of the overwhelming teachers being women, who are also promoting this kind of stuff. But I've seen these women just get to the point where they're 60 and they're just miserable. Then they want to pass that trauma onto their sons. And then whenever, or if their son wants to make some kind of connection with their father, they're totally against it. Because they were controlling to begin with. That's quite frankly, I think, why a lot of the times the father leaves, because they can't handle the toxicity. And they want to start passing that toxicity onto another man, because these are women who, quite frankly, a lot of them hate men. I'll be upfront. There's a lot of women right now who hate men because they would not run a relationship in this way if they didn't. And the issue is now, because I was in this position when I was, late teens, 20, 21, foolishly, but again, being young and naive at the time, I thought getting a girlfriend would fix all my problems. You have people that think getting money will fix their problems, getting a nice car will fix their problems, getting a job promotion will fix their problems, when in reality, these are just masking the problem. There are some things where you have to really deal with. There are things you have to face on your own. And some battles are harder than others. But my point being is that I thought having a girlfriend would fix my problems. And it didn't. Not only did it not fix my problems, but it only led to more problems. It only led to things being worse. It only led to more insecurity. It only led to more emptiness. And again, guys, when people get desperate, where's the first place they go for women, right? Dating apps, nightclubs, raves, bars, all where it's the easiest to get an interaction with them. But understand something. Those are not women you should be taking seriously. It's like extremely, I would say 99.99 women who are on dating apps, who are in nightclubs, who are in bars, are not worth taking seriously. Not at all worth taking seriously. And again, I know men who are very good with conversation, communication skills, which again, those are things that men can work on. They do the look max stuff, which again, things that men can work on, which we're going to touch on that. But even them, they're not taking these women seriously, which I don't agree with this, but they're just there really for flings or hookups. They're not taking them seriously because they see how a lot of these men have been in relationships before that ended ugly. They're seeing how out of control the dynamics are right now. They're seeing how there's no understanding for what a real healthy relationship even looks like. And it's just crazy. Like, even with the dating apps, they're made against the favor of men. I have a friend of mine who knows someone who works behind the scenes on with one of these big dating apps. And they've literally said straight up, like, it's a business. They don't want people to find relationships. They want the men to pay for these memberships and this kind of stuff. Like, it's made against the favor of men. So a lot of men now, they get on these dating apps, they don't get the matches, they don't get the success they think that they were getting. They get a lot of women who are overweight or quite frankly, to put it blunt, well below their league, whether it's morally or physically. And then they start getting even more desperate and insecure. Then they start settling for women who are toxic, like I mentioned. And it's a whole crazy cycle that spirals out of control. No one should be using dating apps. I have friends that use them, that I've recommended. I've used them in the past, but again, nothing good came out of those. There was not one girl that I met with on a dating app that was worth taking seriously. I mean, that's just the truth, guys. And what bothers me too about this is that even having these kind of dialogues, you get a lot of these buzzwords. You get a lot of the just ways to shut down this kind of conversation to begin with. Things like incel, black pill, misogyny, whatever buzzword is convenient at the time. But understand something. This is not normal. This is not at all normal. Think level up, whatever they want to say. It's like, dude, like I mentioned, even these high value men, that's the scary reality. They're dealing with the same frustrations. And look, I'm someone who agrees that you should be presentable. I'm someone who agrees that you should go to the gym. You should have a clean pair of shoes on. You should have a good haircut. You should be hygienic. But understand something. I don't do that for female attention. Because a lot of men right now are doing that, and they're forgetting really being masculine, and that's why they're being walked all over. I've seen studies with the whole stuff where if men look like they're more put together, they're less likely to be targets for crime and bullying. They're because when you're walking in a room, you're more respected. People just subconsciously are gonna take you more seriously if you're put together, generally speaking. That's why I want to be presentable, not for female attention. Because let's also remember this too. Women can use, they'll use the lip fillers, the makeup, the body sculpting clothing, all that kind of stuff. There's nothing wrong with men wanting to improve themselves physically, but understand that's something that women do for male attention. I don't think it's masculine for men to be doing all this crazy stuff for female attention. I just don't think it's masculine. I think I'll put it this way, guys, because again, like I said, I'm all for it. I'm all for looking your best, feeling your best. But if we're not going to talk about mentality, if we're not going to talk about real masculinity and what that means, then quite frankly, to me, it's meaningless. It's just surface level. It's just on the outside. It doesn't mean anything to me. I know so many men now who are insecure, and they want to knock men for choosing not to date, or because even a lot of the chat stuff I see being pushed by men for whatever reason, trying to disqualify men because of their height or whatever it might be. And I'm like, we need to form a brotherhood. I'm not saying you have to be weird and glaze other dudes and stuff like that, even if they're your friend. I'm not saying you have to do that. But I'm saying we should be more uplifting to one another and say straight up. If someone's not having success in the dating market, it's not because they're under 6 foot. It's not because this and that. A lot of the time it's because they have masculine frame, because they're not easy to control and manipulate. Because most of my friends, guys, and I could closely say all of them, but I don't want to, I'm sure there's one or two examples it's not the case, but pretty much every single friend of mine from when I was in high school up until my mid-20s, they were all in controlling, manipulating circumstances where the women walked all over them, where the woman disrespected them, ended up cheating on them or doing something else that was dishonest and disrespectful. Not one of them had ever led to marriage. It led to really years of their life wasted. Guys, I know someone who was in a relationship with a girl and they had broken up, and I had no idea about this until recently. But I found out that he was still paying her phone bill 2 years after they broke up. And I think she cheated on him too. And I'm thinking to myself, could you imagine what that relationship was like? I mean, you want to talk about getting walked all over, being submissive. I mean, that is just next level insane to me. But he finally canceled the phone bill, and she starts texting him, talking crazy, talking trash to him. And I'm like, this is insane. There's really some men that are going along with this, that have been that emasculated. because they've been told how bad masculinity is. They've been told, whether it's by a mother who has disdain towards their father about how bad their father was, how bad their behavior was. It's insane. I can't blame men for wanting nothing to do with this. And like I've said before, I'm someone who's all for marriage. I think it's an amazing thing when a man and a woman can come together, bring a child in this world, raise that child. But you can't settle for toxicity. You can't lose your own masculinity just to be walked all over and be a court, and even playing all these games, because even I see it too. The games over text, like all this kind of stuff. If I were to pursue a woman, the next woman, whatever, I'm not wasting my time over text. I'm straight up gonna either call him or talk to him in person. Like these games and stuff that people are playing, man, it's just crazy. And the sooner people stop playing it, the better. I'll put it that way. Anyway, guys, appreciate you viewing. Hope you guys have a good one.